And really what it comes down to is consumer psychology. At some point, a couple of things happen. One is they have like a floor or a ceiling, whatever you want to call it. Basically,
Hmm.
on this side of the number, it's bad, and on this side of the number is good. And I fear, and we're going to find out over the next 3 or 4 weeks, that that number for mortgage is 7. What do I mean exactly? 7.02, bad. 6.97, good. Right? You and I both know that's, 5 points, 5 basis points. But to
Yeah.
a homeowner who's going to be in the home forever, they want to tell their friends they got a mortgage in the sixes, not in the sevens. And then to your point, the consumer over decades, they can hold back for months, maybe quarters. But at some point, that pressure breaks and they go, enough's enough. I give up. I'm just going to buy. And if we get those two things slamming together, 6 is good, 7 is bad. I'm like, think about it. We have buyers in the market that have been trying to buy for 2 years.
Yeah.
They're like, I'm freaking done. Folks, we're going to talk about why the housing market might be set to explode. Yes, the spring selling season might get very, very busy. We're going to talk about an article we found on Bigger Pockets highlighting a potential tax for landlords. And we'll talk about some DSCR questions, 40-year fixed, interest only, things of that nature. We're going to have this conversation with the one and only Jonathan from Convoy Home Loans. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Let's talk about the spring selling season. More and more of the country is entering that. And I got to tell you, I'm a little bit afraid that this spring selling season might be bonkers. What do I mean by that? We have rates now officially below 7%. That happened yesterday, reported by Mortgage Business Daily, I think 6.97. So we're officially below 7. We saw last week that mortgage apps were up 12% week on week. And we are seeing more and more inventory come to market. So this tells me that the home buying season might be more than I expected it to be. Might be some more transactions, might be more demand, and of course that means probably rising prices. What do you think of all that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I was just talking about this with my buddy that owns a termite company yesterday. And he was saying that, and I'm seeing it too, everything's being overbid now in terms of single family residences and people trying to buy into their primary homes. In LA, Irvine, Orange County, anything that's under 2 million is literally the first day it goes on market, there's like 15 offers that go in
Oh
there.
my gosh, they're doing that
And
again?
that's yeah, it's crazy. And people are going in all cash or they're going in with, their loans and whatnot, but they're bidding up these prices. So yesterday I was speaking to some realtor partners that I'm very close with. They listed a duplex in Manhattan Beach, and literally within the first 2 days, they listed at two, already went up 2-1, 2-2. People are overbidding on that. I was working with another realtor partner on a property that they were trying to get sold in La Crescenta, Glendale, and that was listed at 1-4, and the bids were coming in at 1-6. So people are starting to already like flood the market with like, hey, I'm ready to buy, ready to buy. I think everyone's just fed up with the fact that,
Yeah,
okay, well, I understand,
exactly.
yeah, rates
Fed
came
up.
down, rates might come down, but they're not like going to do the drastic drop that people are saying and hoping it would. So screw it, I'm just going to buy, right? So people are just like upgrading if they want to, and just going out there and buying whatever they can, putting, enormous amount of money into either fixing up or on the down payment. And the demand on these properties that are half decent are starting to skyrocket. Everyone's getting multiple offers again. They're getting counters. Like this didn't happen, 6 months ago. But this is exactly what we were talking about, Mike. Like the whole year, we were like, hey,
It's
if
coming.
people start getting fed up, if rates start like getting to a point where people are comfortable, and you were talking about what that rate is going to be, right?
Yep.
You were saying maybe 6, maybe 7, whatever it is. But now we're seeing it happen across the board. And we're seeing it happen at 7, which is higher than what honestly I expected it, and I think you expected it to kind
Yeah.
of speed up in.
I think the consumer is they're so interesting to follow and track. And I've been studying them for 30 years. And really what it comes down to is consumer psychology. At some point, a couple of things happen. One is they have like a floor or a ceiling, whatever you want to call it. Basically,
Hmm.
on this side of the number, it's bad, and on this side of the number is good. And I fear, and we're going to find out over the next 3 or 4 weeks, that that number for mortgage is 7. What do I mean exactly? 7.02, bad. 6.97, good. Right? You and I both know that's, 5 points, 5 basis points. But to
Yeah.
a homeowner who's going to be in the home forever, they want to tell their friends they got a mortgage in the sixes, not in the sevens. And then to your point, the consumer over decades, they can hold back for months, maybe quarters. But at some point, that pressure breaks and they go, enough's enough. I give up. I'm just going to buy. And if we get those two things slamming together, 6 is good, 7 is bad. I'm like, think about it. We have buyers in the market that have been trying to buy for 2 years.
Yeah.
They're like, I'm freaking done.
Yeah. It's crazy because obviously we were warning our investor community and our clients like, hey, and you were doing this too, but like get it while you can on a great aggressive deal because there's going to be a time where you can no longer buy things aggressively. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, I think the page has turned into that, this day when I'm starting
Yeah.
to see all these offers come in. We were talking a month or two ago about offers or our listings sitting stale and all of a
Yeah.
sudden picking up traction, right? This is now a different than that because these are new listings that are coming on market that are
Yes.
getting freaking bombarded. Nuts.
Just yeah, and I fear that this is going to come to much of the country as more and more of the country enter the spring selling season. If rates do stay below 7, they go to 6.9, 6.8. I really fear the buyers going, I give up. I'm tired of waiting,
Mhm.
right? And the spring selling season, just so I'm clear, I think I think we do I think we did like 4 million transactions last year, like existing home sales. I'm not calling for any kind of crazy growth. I'm calling like 4.2, 4.3 million. So, up 8%. But if we unlock that marginal demand, you could see prices run 5, 10% in some markets. I mean, it could, and to be clear, I'm not calling for this. I'm not wishing for this. I'm just saying if you unleash demand and there's no supply, that happens. I mean, it's a supply
Yeah.
demand equation. It's crazy.
Yeah, and obviously that hurts the investor because investors
It's,
can't invest past a certain number, which
yeah.
will segue into the next thing, which is kind of interesting. But the primary residence people that are looking to buy right now, like if you can lock something in at a good price, like lock it in, even if the rate's a little higher, 7, 6, whatever. Tell your friends you got a 6. Who cares? They're not going to ever let me see your mortgage statement. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So instead, like just get it, lock it in because it's a good deal, right? Lock up every good deal you can, and then you can always refi later. But the difference in payment, typically between like 6, 8, and 7, is maybe a couple $100 for the
It's
most
not.
of the country, right? Unless you're
Yeah.
in California. But it's like still, even then, it's only like $400 or $500 a month, which is like, would you rather get the appreciation on the run up,
Yeah.
or would you rather pay a higher enter at a higher price?
Yeah. Well, let's switch to this article that you were nice enough to send me from Bigger Pockets. Bigger Pockets wrote a blog highlighting a brand new government proposal. It's not approved, but basically another proposal going after the greedy landlords who are taking single family homes away from owner occupants. Kind of highlight what you saw in that for me.
Yeah, it's well, the article was basically stating that the people there's a high uh percentage of homes being bought up, single family homes in particular, by institutions, Wall
Yep.
Street. When Blackstone, especially BlackRock, were buying a bunch of properties, right?
Hmm.
They're talking about that. They're talking about just the investors in general who are buying all these properties. Investors potentially that we fall kind of in that bucket too of like you and me,
Sure.
where we go out and buy properties as well because we're willing to pay a certain amount.
Hmm.
And the claim is by doing that, we are taking away homes from people that are trying to buy homes to live in,
Hmm.
right? And we are driving up rents, we are driving up the prices, and we are the worst people on the planet because we're doing so. Which
Yeah.
we talked a little before off camera, but rents right now are lower than mortgage payments.
Yeah.
So a lot of these
So
people,
so who's winning that equation? Yeah.
yeah, it's like a lot of these people that were only going to put down 3 to 5% to buy the property anyways. Yes, they maybe could have bought the property, but the payment that they're actually making on affordability is less
Mhm.
on an actual mortgage than actual rents, right? There's a lot of things
Yeah.
wrong with the article that I think that they try to paint us as a bad picture.
Well, there's a growing crash bro theme that says that 40% of all single family homes are owned by Wall Street. That is factually embarrassingly wrong.
Yeah.
Even in this article, I think they highlight that the big players, they own something like 400,000 homes. I scanned it briefly. Think I saw that in here. Yeah, 400,000 homes. So again, we do have some big home players that started after the Great Recession. Obviously, Warren Buffett made that famous comment, if I could find a way to manage them, I'd buy all the single family homes. So folks like Blackstone and others have done this. And but let's be clear, the big boys, they own about 1% of rental homes, not 40%.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a tax that's clearly going at them. They're saying if you own 16 to 25 homes, you're going to be taxed 1% of purchase price. If you have 26 to 100, you're going to be taxed 3% of purchase price. And boy, if you own 100 or more, that's a 5% yearly tax. That will change the numbers drastically for
Yeah.
owning
And I
singles.
mean, it's really unfortunate because obviously I think LA was one of the first markets to kind of see something like this, right? With the ULA tax and
Mhm. Yeah,
mansion tax, right?
yeah,
We
yeah.
saw
That
that
was
anything
that
over
was a great sales job. What was it,
it's
10
like,
million bucks or something? And it's all
yeah,
real estate, not just mansions.
yeah, it's crazy. But 4.5 million, 4.5%, whether you make money or not. And then same thing, 10 million up, 5.5%, whether you make money or not. This is the same thing, but this is on a global scale, right? On a US scale, which is really unfortunate that the government is trying to, people in the government are trying to take away our ability to invest in real estate,
Yeah.
which is actually going to take, I think, do more detriment than right, because not a lot of people have the money to put down to buy these houses, right?
Mhm.
We are offering, like, a lot of landlords that are good landlords are coming in, making the properties and providing homes and livable situations for a lot of people that wouldn't be able to live there naturally,
Oh
right?
yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think that obviously that tax, hopefully it doesn't get passed, but this is like the same thing that happened in the beginning of the year about the 1031 thing. They were trying to take that away, right? They're trying to take away the grandfathering of property taxes in LA. Like, this is, it's all just stuff that's attack against the real estate investors and disincentivizing people from owning real estate. I think at the end of the day, right?
Yeah. No,
And
it absolutely
it's
is.
unfortunate.
Yeah. You know what? So it is unfortunate. Uh, but you know what? One of the realities or one of the great truths are, if you look at who's in Congress today, lots of them own real estate.
Yeah,
It's just a fact. So yeah, you can have this person job owning, and you can have a socialist talk about this or that. Um, but I don't see things like that going anywhere. That said, would there be some regulation around Wall Street owning single family? Like here's an answer. Would there be something for 1,000 single family units and above? Absolutely. I could see everybody getting behind that. But 16? No.
yeah,
1,000? Sure. I could see that. So
yeah,
it'll be
yeah,
interesting.
absolutely.
Well, let's switch gears to DSCR. You're getting lots of questions. People talking about 40-year mortgage, talking about maybe interest only options. What's going on
Yeah.
in DSCR world?
So, obviously, 40-year was one of our first videos that we ever came up with. I think we were one of the first brokers to ever even talk
You
about it or
you
bring it to
were?
market. Yeah,
You were? Yeah.
and when we were doing that at that time, we were talking about 3.375, 3.75, 4%. Like, I was watching the video recently, and I was like, oh my gosh,
My
like that
God,
was
where were
just
we? Yeah.
just over 2 years ago, and
Yeah.
now we're in a market where we're talking sevens and eights, right? Six, seven, and eight. So
Yeah.
at that point in time, 40-year fix really made sense because you buy it, you never let it go, right?
Yeah.
Now it may not make as much sense as it did before, and that's what I'm telling a lot of clients that call
Oh,
in,
yeah.
unless you're going to 100% keep that property and never refinance out of it over the next 40
Yeah.
years, right?
Yeah.
Because it may not make sense to refi in the future, especially on the smaller balance stuff. It may not
Yeah.
make sense to refinance. So
Yeah.
In that case, and if you're planning to do that, then go ahead and buy it and keep it on the 40-year. Where that happy place is, where the 30-year and the 40-year are pretty similar in terms of pricing, is if the 40-year, or if the debt coverage is over 125%. So with one of
Ah,
our investors,
okay.
if your debt coverage is over 125%, the hit in pricing is not there for the 30
Hmm.
versus the 40. So if you were planning to never refi ever again, period, then go ahead and you can utilize that program. But if you are planning, and most people will over the next 5 years,
Yeah.
like then just take a 30,
Yeah.
take a interest only 30-year fixed with a 10-year interest only. Or what's really been interesting is because we've been talking about these inverse, curves with the 5-year and the 10-year and the 7-year. I'm writing a lot of like bigger loans at 10-year fixed ARM interest only because those rates are coming in lower than a 30-year fixed with a 10-year interest only. So
Interesting.
it's
Okay.
really interesting how that's working right now, but it is, right? And we have to always be, kind of chameleons and adapt as the market changes. But so I'm writing a lot of those on bigger loans because the payment difference is big enough
Oh
to
yeah.
make a difference, like $1,000, $2,000, while they
Sure.
stabilize. And on top of that, with one of our investors, the difference in rate between a 5-year prepayment penalty and a 1-year prepayment penalty is only 0.125 or 0.25%
Oh wow. Do that
in the
all
rate.
day. Yeah.
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 So all day long, right? So I'm telling people like, hey, the difference in payment is maybe $100, maybe 150, but having that the handcuffs taken off after a year
Yeah.
is a
Definitely worth
game
it.
changer. It
Game
opens
changer.
up everything. Yeah, especially with, I think, and this is going back to what we talked about a little earlier, and values going up a little bit, you're gonna have opportunities to potentially 1031 into something bigger if you want to, right?
Yeah. Of
Especially because
course.
commercial hasn't really caught up yet to
Not
the
yet.
market, right? So, but it will eventually. So if you get the opportunity and get the run up in the residential market, you might be able to package a few together and trade it into a commercial. It's a
I look
possibility.
I look forward to that. That's what I'm looking forward to do is to take some
Yeah.
houses, some resis and convert to commercial. It's going to be a lot of fun. I love the fact that you take the time at Convoy Home Loans to tell people, you know what? I know you came here for the 40-year mortgage, but it probably doesn't make sense to you. That's why you're on this channel because you really listen, you ask questions, and you give advice, as opposed to just slamming loans through. So thank you for doing that. If somebody wanted to reach out and tell you their scenario, their what they're looking to do, how do they do that?
Go to convoyhomeloans.com and let us know you came from ORaaT.
Yep. Tell them it came from ORaaT. You get this fine gentleman, Jonathan, or his partner, Dustin. If you don't, you will sit in a queue with the peons. You don't want to be with the peons. Get one of these two guys. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you.